In this video, I will tell you about the annotative property of AutoCAD objects. So up to this point, you must have seen that there are lots of AutoCAD objects or lot of AutoCAD entities that use annotative property. For example, we have text that can be used with annotative property. We have hatches, dimensions, and other objects like blocks, which can be used with the annotative feature. To understand this annotative feature, I will explain it first with a very simple example. Now here in this drawing, the second one, we have these two simple rectangles and we have two simple hatches here. In both of these cases, the hatch has been made with a 1:1 scale. Now as you can see here, we have 1:1 scale applied on the current drawing area and they are equally spaced hatches. Now when I move my cursor to this white hatch, it's behaving in a normal way. On the tooltip you won't see any new icon, but when I move my cursor to this hatch pattern, a new icon is visible which represents annotative property. So right now the green hatch has annotative property, whereas the white hatch has normal properties. Here we have multiple icons of annotative property, and that indicates we have multiple scales added to this annotative object. Now I'll make this clear using the layout view of this drawing. So currently we have it in 1:1 scale. Let's move to the layout. Now when I move to the layout, here I've got three different viewports. In the first case, we have the first viewport here with a scale of 1:1. As you can see here, it has been represented with the help of field. So this viewport has a scale of 1:1. When I double click inside, you'll be able to see here that the scale is 1:1. Now in this scale, look at the hatch pattern. Now the spacing of hatches is equal in both of these cases. Now look at this hatch pattern. In this case, the scale is 1:2. Now in this case, as I am decreasing this scale, the gap of this normal hatch has also decreased. It has reduced to half of its original gap as it was in this 1:1 scale. So obviously this will follow properly here. The scale of this viewport will reduce the scale of hatch pattern in normal hatch, but look at the annotative hatch. In this case, the gap of this hatch pattern is still maintained, and when you compare it with the original hatch pattern of 1:1, the same gap is maintained, although in this case the number of hatch lines are reduced in order to accommodate the same hatch gap. Now if you look at the third case here the scale is 1:4. So obviously in this case, when you look at the normal hatch pattern, the scale has been reduced to 4 times of its original value, and the gap has also been reduced to 4 times of its original value. But in this case, again, the same scale has been maintained as it was in the case of 1:1 hatch pattern. So that's the annotative property. When you apply annotative property to an object, you can keep consistent size throughout different scales. Now I'll explain it using another example. In this case, we have the simple drawing, and right now this is the floor plan, and as you can see that we have this floor plan, so the size of this object is quite large. It's in the scale of 30 to 35 feet along the length and 25 to 30 feet along the width. Now this scale is the actual scale of the drawing, and obviously when you plot this drawing on a sheet of paper, you need to reduce this scale, because obviously we cannot make a sheet of paper of a length in the scale of 30 or 40 feet. So that's obviously not practical. So in order to do that, what we do actually is we create layouts as we did here, and the size of this layout is A3. So we create layouts with a standard paper size, now in this case A3, and then we reduce the scale of original object. Now when the scale is reduced, all the objects fit properly, and also the annotations can be added directly. Now in this case, here you can clearly see that the scale has been reduced to 1:50. That means that when this drawing, which is on the paper, is increased to 50 times, it will be equal to the size of actual object. Now in this case also, when you look at the dimensions, you will notice that they have a very particular size here, and this size has been chosen depending upon the size of paper. Right now I have selected 1/4 of an inch as the size of this dimension, and that's a size which is quite visible on this kind of sheet of paper. Now in this case, when you go to the model space, you'll see that the same dimension size has been applied, which is 1/4 of an inch, but it is obviously not visible because we need to zoom to this dimension in order to see this. So that's the scale, 1/4 of an inch, that's the size here, and obviously this is not visible in this case. But even after reducing the scale, we are able to properly see this dimension because the annotative property has been applied to this. To make it even more clear, I will show you this another example. Now in this case, the scale has been increased to 1:20 and further to 1:10. Now we have three different scales. In this case, the scale was 1:50. In this case, 1:20 and 1:10. Now obviously with the change of scale, the scale of this drawing changed. In this case, we are zooming into this kid's bedroom, and as we zoomed into this area, all of these text blocks and the remaining objects increase in size. But when you look at the dimension, their size still remained constant. In this case, when you go to this drawing, you'll see this is the size which is maintained for this scale, and here also when we zoomed it even further, the scale is still maintained. That's only because the dimensions are annotative. So whenever you apply annotative property to any of the objects, it will always remain consistent in size throughout the different scales. So now you are familiar with the annotative property of AutoCAD objects. So let's start by adding our own annotative object. So in this case, we have these dimensions and they are indicated with this green color, but right now they are simple dimensions. They are not annotative. So in order to make our own annotative dimension, I'll first turn off the layer which contains these dimensions. So that's dim layer. So I'll click on this light bulb icon and they'll be turned off. Now let's go to layer properties and create a new layer. So I'll name it as Anno Dim, the dimensions for annotative object. Now let's click on this color and change this color to this one just to recognize these dimensions clearly. Okay, now we are prepared. So I'll change the active layer to Anno Dim, and now we can make our dimensions. But before making the dimensions, we need to create the dimension style. And to do that, I'll go to this annotation panel, select the flyout here, and select manage dimension styles. So right now we have the standard dimension style which was selected for making the dimensions. Now I'll click on new and let's give it a name. So I'll name it as Anno, short for annotative, and here we have this annotative checkbox. So make sure this checkbox is selected to create annotative dimension style. Now click on continue and we have lots of values to fill here. In this case, I'll start with line, and here the baseline spacing is set to 1/64 of an inch. I'm not going to change this, and rest of the options also I'll just leave it at the default. I'll go to symbols and arrow and change the arrow size. Now this is the actual size which you'll see on the sheet of paper. So if you're plotting on an A3 sheet of paper, then you need to decide beforehand the size of your text, arrows, dimensions, and other annotative object, and this is the size which will always remain constant throughout different scales and throughout different viewports. So that's the paper height of these objects. So for this case, I'll select 1/4 of an inch as the size of arrow. Now I'll go to text, and here also I'll make sure that the text height is set to 1/4 of an inch, which it is. But if you don't find this text height as 1/4 of an inch or whatever the value you want, then you can click on this box and change the text height from here in the text style. Once it is done, you can click on apply and cancel. Now we have these values set. Let's go to fit tab, and here also you'll notice that this annotative checkbox will be selected, and obviously with the annotative checkbox selected, rest of the options will be inactive. You won't be able to change the scale. Here I'll go to primary unit, and you can change the precision, which I'll leave at 1/4 of an inch. So these are the simple settings that you need to make. Now with these settings, click on OK and click on close. So now our annotative dimension style is prepared. Let's click on this panel, and here you'll see this anno dimension style active, and also you'll see this annotative symbol right beside the dimension, which is annotative. In case of standard, we don't have that symbol. Okay, so we have this dimension style active. Let's start by adding the dimension. So I'll go to this linear, click at this point and click on this point, and there we have it, the first dimension. For the sake of simplicity, I'll click on this line weight display to turn it off. Now I'll go to this again and I'll add second dimension, and in a similar way I'll add other dimensions. I've added the required number of dimensions in this drawing. So right now, as you can see, that I've added these dimensions at the scale of 1:1. Here we have it. The 1:1 scale has been set while applying the dimension style. Now I'll go to the layout tab. And here in the layout tab, I'll create the first layout. So I'll go to layout, click on rectangular, click at a point, and then make the layout. So there we have it. Now in this case, let's make the first layout with a scale of 1:50. So let's double click inside. I'll click on this scale and add 1:50. Well, there we have it. Now when I change the scale, the dimensions simply disappeared. That's because 1:50 scale was not added to the annotative property. Now this might be a little bit confusing to you, but I'll make this clear in a moment. Now let's go back to the model space. And when I move my cursor over any of these dimensions, you'll see this single icon of annotative property that indicates that current dimension style has a single scale applied to it, and that scale is 1:1, and it simply means that this property will work only in the scale of 1:1. In order to make this annotative property work in different scales, you need to add them, and in order to add them, you can use this status bar option. So the first option should always be active, show annotation objects. That will make annotation objects visible. And in order to add scales, click on this second option. So that will help in adding different scales. Now you have already made this drawing at 1:50 scale, so we need it. So for that, I'll go to model, I'll click on scale after turning on both of these options, and now I'll click on 1:50. And there we have it. Now the scale has been added, and you'll see a change in size here. Also, you'll see this double icon of annotative object that indicates multiple annotative scales are now added. Now let's move back to the layout. There we have it. We have proper dimension size here, and they are quite visible now. So this size is with respect to the paper. Now I'll go to layout 2. Here also we have A3 sheet of paper. Let's create two new viewports. So I'll go to rectangular, and here I'll create the first viewport. Let's double click inside and add a scale of 1:20 here. Well, there we have it. Let's zoom into this area, the kids' bedroom. There we have it. Now double click outside, and again we don't have the dimensions visible because we need to add this scale also, the scale of 1:20. But before adding that, I'll create one more viewport. So here we have the second viewport. Double click here, zoom into this area, and right now I'll change the scale to 1:10 because we want this area in focus. There we have it. Now we need to add two more scales, 1:10 and 1:20. So again, we'll move to model space, click on this scale and change it to 1:10. And the scale has been added. Also, we need 1:20. So let's add 1:20. So that scale is also added. Now move back to layout 2. There we have it. The dimensions are clearly visible. And when you look at these dimensions, you'll find that their size is completely consistent. Here we have 1:20 scale, and look at the size of dimension, and look at the size of dimension in this case in 1:10 scale. In both of these cases, the size of dimension is equal. Even when you move to layout 1, where the scale was 1:50, the same dimension size is maintained. That's because we have applied annotative property. Now, in most of these cases, the dimensions are overlapping or they are not clearly visible. For example, in this case, we don't have these dimensions visible. They are overlapping each other, which we don't want. But in this case, they are quite clearly visible. So you can change their position in different viewports separately, and they will not affect affect each other because they are annotative object obviously. So I'll double click inside this first viewport of 1:20 scale, click on this dimension and click on this grip. First let's double click outside. Now I'll click on this viewport, select it, click on this grip and move it a little bit over here. Well, let's move it a little bit more and press escape. Now double click outside. Now you'll notice that this dimension did move, but here in this case this dimension remained unaffected. Also I'll double click here, I'll click on this dimension and I'll move it over here. Again we have 1:10 scale, the scale has not been changed. There we have it. Now it's quite clearly visible. In order to see these two scales, I'll click here and I'll move it a little bit like this so that these two scales or these two dimensions are properly visible. So here also when you go to layout 1, we can see that a consistent size is maintained, and here also you can change these dimensions separately. So I'll place it here, press escape, and there we have it. It's now quite clearly visible. So you can separately move this dimension also somewhere over here so that it's visible with respect to all of these objects. So in this way you can create annotative dimensions, although it might be a little bit confusing to you in the beginning, but with practice you'll get really good at this. And in a similar way you can create other kind of annotative objects. For example, if you want to create annotative text, then you need to go to the text style and create a new text style, but make sure that when creating the text style this annotative checkbox is selected, and then you can select the height of text, and that height will be kept in all of the different scales. Similarly, you can create annotative blocks, hatches and other objects in AutoCAD. In this video, I will tell you about the Design Center tool of AutoCAD. So Design Center is a single utility which can be used to access named components within a drawing. For example, using Design Center, you can extract layers, blocks, line types, and other information from a drawing without directly importing the complete drawing. Now to explain this, I'll use this drawing. In this drawing, we have this simple floor plan, but we have some drawing components missing here. We don't have the bed and other details which we have seen in the previous lesson. Now, in order to import that, we can use our own block, or we can use ready-made blocks which are available in other drawings. And also there is a third option, which is Design Center. So Design Center has some blocks made for you, and you can use the blocks from that sample drawings. So to start the Design Center palette, press Ctrl and 2 key on the keyboard, and this will open the Design Center. Alternatively, you can also use its command equivalent Add Center for opening this Design Center palette. Now once this palette is open, you'll see this list in the folder list on the left, and also the preview of the drawing or the files will be present here. Now in your case it may be different because it will always show the last setting of your Design Center, which in my case was this setting. Now in order to return to the default condition, click on this home icon. So that will take your Design Center palette to its default condition. Now we need to insert the blocks. So we'll look for those blocks in this ENUS folder. So let's double click on this and let's go to this Design Center. Now we are again back to these drawings. So let's select the drawing which is required. So we need House Designer. So let's select this House Designer and click on blocks. Now we have lots of blocks which are related to this House Designer project. But obviously we don't want these blocks. So I'll move back a little bit, and now I'll select this home or space planner. Now once again I'll click on blocks, and now we have the drawings here or the blocks. So we need to insert this bed queen or this block. So you can simply select it, then right click and select this insert block option. Now select OK and click at a point to insert this. Alternatively, you can also drag and drop it within your drawing area. So now in this case we have this block. Let's erase one of the instances and let's hide this. Now we can insert this block anywhere in the drawing area wherever we want. So I'll just place it over here. Now you can change the size of this block, you can rotate it, and you can place it to different locations. And once this block is inserted, it will be available now in this insert window as well. So here we have it. It's now available here. In a similar way, you can add more drawings from this design center, and you can use these blocks in your projects. You can not only use these drawings from the design center drawing, but you can also import them directly from your own drawing. For example, I will use my own drawing and I'll import one of the dynamic blocks from the drawings which we have made previously. And for that, I'll click on this open. Now you need to locate the drawing from which you want to import the blocks or other named objects. So here we have this 17.3 test drawing, which we'll select, and it's located on the desktop as you can see here. Let's click on open. Now this will show the list of all the components which are present in this drawing. So we have blocks, detail view, dimension, style, layer, layout, and lots of other things. So we are interested in blocks. So I'll simply double click on blocks, and here are the blocks which are present in this drawing. So we are interested in this road sign. So let's click on it and drag it and drop it. So there we have it. Now obviously the size of this will be very small. That's because the scale of this block is different from the scale of this drawing. Now let's hide this once again, and I'll simply select this complete block. I'll click on scale, click at a point, and let's add a scale of 10 and press enter. Now there we have it. Now it's quite visible. We can even increase its scale to a larger value. So I'll now change it to 3. And there we have it. Now it's quite visible. So we have this dynamic block here, and you can change its property. So you can see that we have directly inserted it using the design center. So you can not only insert the blocks, you can also insert other objects. For example, we have a test layer also in the same drawing. So I'll expand it once again, and I'll move back a little bit, and let's go to the bottom of this list. So we have the 17.3 test.dwg drawing. We have already selected the blocks. Now we need layers. So select layers. And here are the 3 layers which are present in this drawing. So we have 0 and def points. These are the default layers. And we have this test layer, which is not present in this list, the list of current drawing. Now we'll insert it. So I'll simply drag and drop it here. And let's go to the list. And now you'll see this test layer. Now when you go to layer properties manager, you'll also notice that this test layer will have all the properties, for example, the color, the line type, and all the remaining properties which are applied on the original layer. So let's now close it. And let's look at the third feature, which is related to the design center. So using design center, you can locate any block or any named object within a drawing, even when you don't know the location of that exact drawing. So let's assume that we need to find out a block with name U-turn. We only know that there is a drawing somewhere on the desktop on which we have that block. Now in order to locate it, simply go to this search icon and now define the parameters. So here in the look for value, select the block because we are looking for a block. Now in the location, specify the location. So you need to ensure that the location is as narrowed as possible. So if you narrow it down, it will take less time for the search operation. But if you keep a broad search area, that will take considerable amount of time. So in this case, I am selecting desktop because we know it's on desktop. Now click on OK, and also make sure the search subfolders is selected. Now select the name, which is U-turn, and now click on search now. And there we have it. So we have 2 drawings which contain these blocks. So we have it here on the test drawing 17.3 test, and also on 17.3, which is the current drawing. So when you go to this drop down and let's just scroll down to this list, you'll see that we really have this U-turn block here. So in that way, you can find out any named objects even without knowing its exact location. And that's the beauty of Design Center. In this video, I will tell you about using tool palettes in AutoCAD. So using tool palettes, you can create and save your own set of AutoCAD blocks, and whenever required you can use those blocks from the tool palette. Using tool palettes you can not only access your own custom blocks, but also there are lots of ready-made blocks which are available on the tool palettes that you can use. So in order to access the tool palette, simply press Ctrl 3 on the keyboard, and there we have it. We have the tool palette. Also you can use the view panel, and from this view panel you can click on this tool palettes option and the tool palette will be visible. Now in this case, on this tool palette we have lots of different tabs. For example, the modeling, on which we have solid modeling related tools, the constraints, annotation, which contains lots of different callouts and annotations, and here we have the blocks. So these are the dynamic blocks which are related to architectural drawing, some mechanical drawings, and lots of different blocks which you can use. Also we have the hatches, and there is a whole list of different objects. So when you click on the bottom you'll see lots of different other tabs also here, so you can select from any of them. So for now we have these blocks. Now in order to insert any of these blocks directly in your drawing area, you can simply drag and drop it here. For example, in this case we have it here. Now in order to add your own custom block you need to first make it. So I'll just erase it and I'll go to Home tab, and now I'll make our own block. So I'll go to rectangle and make a rectangle, then go to circle and make a circle somewhere over here. Now we'll convert it into a simple block. For that I'll move this palette a little bit over here, and now click on this create block and give this block a name. So let's name it as test block. Now select the pick point, which will be this point, and select the objects. So I'll select all of them and press enter. Now make sure allow exploding is checked, and also make sure open in block editor is unchecked, and click on OK. So there we have it. We have this block here, as you can see in this list also. So that's the block which we have inserted, and this is the block, the test block, which we have made. Now in order to save it on the tool palette, we need to first save this complete drawing, and you need to ensure that this drawing is saved at a location from where the drawing is not deleted, because once you delete this drawing you lose access to all the saved blocks on the tool palette. So I'll save it on the desktop for now. So click on save, select the desktop and give it a name. So once again I'll name it as test block and click on save. Generally I recommend saving this drawing somewhere within the design center directory. So here we have this design center. Now I'll go to home icon, simply click on ENUS and design center. Now you can save this drawing over here also, and in that case it will be accessible not only from the tool palette but also from the design center easily, because you will remember the location. And to save it over here you can simply go to save option or save as option, and you can follow the path which is here, C program files. So I'll just go to C, then program files, then Autodesk, AutoCAD 2018, and then sample, ENUS and design center, and there we have it, all the sample drawings. And here you can save this drawing, and in this way you can ensure that the drawing is not accidentally deleted. So I'll simply press cancel here, and I'll close the design center. Now we'll create our new tool palette, and for that click anywhere on this tool palette and then select this new palette option, and there we have it, the new palette. Let's now name it as source CAD and press enter. Now here we have it, it's completely empty. Now in order to add the block you can simply drag and drop it. So select it, then drag it and drop it, and the test block is now added. Now you can insert this block directly from the palette, and this palette will be accessible from new drawings as well. So even when you click on a completely new drawing, and here also you'll notice that this tool palette is accessible and you can insert your block here also. So let's move back to this test block drawing. Now there are a couple of different things that you can do with this tool palette also. So here in this case, let's say that we want to modify this block. So in order to do that, you can simply select the block, right click and select block editor. So that will directly open the block editor and you can modify this drawing. So here I'll add one more circle. Now I'll click on close block editor and save the changes. So the block is now modified. Now if you insert it again, it will insert the new redefined version of the block. Now if you want to restore the previous version, you can simply right click on this and select redefine, and that will restore the original version of this block. You can also add your own custom images for these blocks. So here in this case, it will take the default preview of the block, but if you want to add your own image, then simply right click and select specify image. Now we have to specify two different images, one for the light theme and one for the dark theme. So I'll click on browse and I'll go to desktop, and here we have it. So I have this logo, the source CAD logo, and I'll select it for the light theme. Then I'll browse it and go to desktop and select this logo for the dark theme. And there we have it, the previews. Now click on OK and you'll see that the preview will change here also. Now if you want to get rid of this custom tool palette, right click on it and simply select delete palette and click on OK. Now we don't have that palette anymore in the drawing. So this was all about creating our own tool palette and adding our custom blocks to that. In this video, I will tell you about using the quick select tool of AutoCAD. So right now we have all of these drawings here and they are simply the circles of different radii. So in this case, the smallest circle is of radius 0.3 unit and the largest has a radius of 1.8 unit. Now also these circles are placed on different layers. So when you go to this layer drop down, you'll see that we have these three layers apart from the layer 0, and the color of that layer has been assigned as per its name. So the cyan layer has cyan color, green has green color, and red has red color, and the objects are also placed on their appropriate layers. Now let's say that we want to make a selection of all the objects on red layer. Now for that you can obviously do a manual selection, but that will take time and it can also lead to some errors if you have a very complex drawing. In this case we have a fairly small drawing, so you can make the selection manually as well, but for large drawings this becomes a really hectic and error prone task, and for that you can use quick select tool. So I'll start the quick select tool from the utilities panel. So go to this panel, select this quick select, and this quick select window will start. You can use its command equivalent Q select as well. So once the command is active, select the parameters. So in this case, we want to select all of the objects on red layer. So for that, I'll first select the entire drawing because we want to make the selection from this complete drawing. Now obviously we only have the circle here, so here in this drop down you'll only see circles. But if you have lots of different objects, those objects will be visible in the drop down and you can select the type of object which you want to include in your selection set. Now we want to make the selection as per layer. So I'll select layer in the properties and now I'll select the operator. So obviously in this case equal operator should be selected because we want to make a selection of red layer. And here in the value, select red. So in value you'll see all the layers which are present in the drawing. So select red, and now here how to apply option will be visible, and in this case select this radio button, include in new selection set. Also make sure append to current selection set is unchecked. Click on OK, and there we have it. All the objects on red layer are now selected. Now let's do this again, but with a slightly different properties. So I'll go to quick select, and in this case I'll select entire drawing, circle, layer, and we don't want to select the objects on red layer, but we want to select all the objects which are not on red layer. For that you can simply select not equal operator and now simply click on OK, and there we have it. So all of the objects except the object of layer red are selected. There is also a different method of making this kind of selection. So I'll go to utilities again, click on this quick select, and in this case I'll select layer again, I'll select equal, I'll select red, but in this case I'll select exclude from selection set. So everything which should be included in the selection set, that means all the objects of this red layer will be excluded and the remaining objects will be selected. So let's click on OK, and there we have it. We still have the same selection set which we obtained with the previous conditions. Now let's make the selection on a different criteria. Now let's say that we want to make a selection of all of the circles in this drawing which has radius greater than 1 unit. For that, I'll once again go to this quick select, and now I'll select entire drawing circle, and now we are making the selection based on the radius. So I'll scroll down in this list and select radius. Now we need to ensure that the radius should be greater than 1. So go to this drop down and select greater than, and in the value type 1. Now obviously here you need to select include in the new selection set and click on OK. And there we have it. So all of the circles with radius greater than 1 unit are selected, and you can clearly see that they are on variety of different layers. Now let's say that we have already made a selection set here, and it's quite a random selection set with small and large circles. And now we want to add more objects in this selection set. So you can do that as well. So I'll once again go to utilities, quick select, and in this case I'll make a selection set of all of the circles with radius less than 0.9 unit. So I'll once again go to radius, and I'll select less than, and I'll select 0.9. Now in this case we have this option, append to current selection. So make sure this is checked. So when you keep this option checked, all of these objects which are already selected and they are obviously not fulfilling these criterias, they will also remain in the selection set that will fulfill this criteria. And once you have checked this, make sure that all of these settings are unchanged, they are still the same, and then click on OK. So there we have it. We have new objects in this selection set. So all of these objects are still selected, but new objects which fulfill the criteria are also added. So in this way you can make clever selections from your AutoCAD drawing, and this can reduce errors and make a selection faster in AutoCAD. In this video, I will tell you about the Express tools of AutoCAD. So Express tools are simply the tools which are not yet fully accepted into the AutoCAD program, and you can say that these are standby tools which may or may not be added in the future versions of AutoCAD depending upon their usability and requirement. So you can find all of the Express tools on this Express tools tab. So when you go to this tab, you'll see lots of Express tools, and there are quite helpful tools present on this Express tools tab. So now let's have a look at some of these Express tools, and I'll start with the arc aligned text. Now let's say that you want to write a text which is aligned along an arc, and for that you can simply use this arc aligned text. But before that we need to have the arc. So I'll go to home, click on arc, and now let's make it. So here is the arc. Now I'll go to Express tools, select this arc aligned. Now click on the arc, and now you can write the text. So let's type AutoCAD 2018 complete course, and there we have it. So we have the text. Now you can change some of these settings, for example the text style, the font, and its layer assignment. So here red is selected. You can keep it at by layer option, which will be selected by default, or you can change it from this list. So let's change it to green in this case. Now here we have the text height, which also you can change, the offset value and the width factor, and many other different values. So I'll keep these settings and click on OK. And there we have it. So right now the text is really very small, and we need to change some of these parameters. For that you can simply double click on it. Now from this property panel you can once again modify its properties. For example, here we have the height. Let's change this height value to 0.8 and press enter. Now it's quite visible, but we can change it even further. So I'll change it to 1.2 and press enter. Now it's looking good. So we have the width factor here. Let's change this value to 1.2, and that looks good. So I'll close it, and I'll press escape key, and there we have it. Now this text is completely related with this arc, and if you change the dimensions of this arc, the text will change. For example, in this case, I'm reducing its length and the text will fit automatically according to the length of arc. So let's now erase it. Now there is also another tool which is burst, and this tool can be used as a replacement of explode tool. So to explain this, I'll select a new block which I've already made in this drawing. So I'll click on insert and I'll import this block. Now as you can see that this is an attributed block which has attributes. So I'll type room number here. So let's type 24 as the room number and the name as Alex, and click on OK. So there we have it. We have the occupant name and 24 as the room number in this room tag attributed block. Now I'll make one more copy of this. So I'll go to copy, select it, press enter and make a copy. Now we have these two blocks. Now in first case, let's select it and let's explode it. So I'll type X and press enter. And there we have it. Now the block is obviously exploded and it is reduced to its original components. In this case, we have the polyline, the line, and also these attribute values. So you can see here on the flyout, we have attribute definition here also. This is an attribute. Now, what if we want to keep the original attribute values, which are these two values, the Alex and 24 room number? Now for that, you can use burst express tool. So I'll go to express tool, and instead of exploding it, I'll select explode attributes, which has a command equivalent burst. So select it, select the block and press enter. There we have it. Now once again, this is exploded. We have the polyline and line. Also we have it as text, but now the original attribute text value is retained. In a similar way, we have another useful express tool here in AutoCAD, and in order to use it, I need to unhide an object. So I'll go to this end object isolation and I'll click on end object isolation. Now here I have got these two texts which I've already made in this drawing, and I have isolated this text. Now here in this case, we have this as M text. So when you double click on this, you'll see that this text editor will open up because it's an M text. Now I'll close it. Now if I double click on this text, the text editor will not open. That simply indicates that it's a single line text unit. Now, if you want to convert this single line text into M text, you can use this convert to M text express tool, and its command equivalent is txt to mtxt, as you can see on the flyout also. So now I'll click on this convert to M text, select this single line text value and press enter. And here we have it. It's now converted into M text. Now, if you double click on this, you'll see that this text editor will be visible and you can modify it just like any M text element. So I'll click outside and there we have it. So these are the three express tools which are quite frequently used. I invite you to explore the remaining express tools on this express tools tab. In this video, I will tell you about troubleshooting some of the common errors in AutoCAD drawings and in the AutoCAD software. But first I will start with cutting the size of AutoCAD file. So whenever you are working with a drawing, gradually it becomes larger in file size, not only because of the data which is added in it, but also because of some redundant and useless data that generally increases the file size and it makes them bulky and full of errors. So there are a couple of ways which you can use to reduce the file size and remove the errors from your drawing. So one of the most basic tool is purge. So using this purge command, you can remove everything which is not used in your drawing, and I would recommend you to use purge only when your drawing is complete or it is set for submission. So in order to use the purge tool, type purge on the command line and press enter. Now this purge window will pop up, and here you'll see lots of objects in this list. So these are the objects that you can purge, and in front of the objects which are unused, you'll see this plus icon. So in this case, we have some additional layers which can be purged, and if there are some additional blocks in your drawing, you'll see a plus icon on front of that. And in most of the cases, there are many redundant and useless blocks which are automatically formed, and that you'll see in this list. There are also lots of other objects in this list that you can purge. Now, once you have found those objects, you can selectively purge them. For example, let's say that you only want to purge blocks. So for that, you can select the block and simply click on purge button. In this case, we don't have any additional blocks, so this purge button is inactive. But now we have the layers. So when you select layers, this purge button will become active, and you can simply click on purge, and all the extra layers or unused layers will be purged. Now, if you have lots of objects in this list and if you want to purge all of them automatically, then you can use this purge all, and that will purge all of these objects from your drawing. In many cases, you may need to click on this purge all button a couple of times in order to clean this view completely, and you can keep on clicking this purge all button as long as it is not grayed out. There is also an option of automatically purging this orphaned data. So these orphaned data are generally the DGN, line types and other objects that generally are not visible in the drawing, but they make your drawing files very bulky. So whenever purging these objects, I would simply recommend that you keep this checkbox selected. In that way, you can purge good amount of data, cleaning your drawing and making it error free. So I'll just select this, and simply I'll click on purge all. It will prompt for this message, select purge all items, and there we have it. The button is now grayed out and everything has been purged, including the orphaned data. Now let's close it. So that was the purge tool. There is also another tool called overkill, which you can use to remove some overlapping objects. So you can see the overkill tool on this modify panel. So when you expand it, here we have this overkill tool. Obviously, you can use its command equivalent overkill. So select it. Now select the complete set of objects from which you want to remove redundant data. Press enter. Simply click on OK. And here you will see two overlapping objects or segments were deleted. So obviously, we got success here in cleaning a little bit more of this drawing. Okay, so that's the most basic step in cleaning your drawing. Now you can move to the third step, and here you can check your drawing for errors. Now, whenever your drawing starts to show some errors, you can check them using the audit tool. So simply type audit and press enter. Now this will show this message on the command line, fix any errors detected. So obviously we do want to fix the errors. So simply click on yes. And there we have it. It ran a script in the background, and here we have total errors found 5, and all of those errors are now fixed. So our errors are also gone. So now this drawing is far better than the drawing with which we started. And now you can save this drawing. In many cases, you'll find that a drawing file is corrupt to such an extent that you won't be even able to open that file. So for those cases, you can use recover command. So simply type recover and press enter. Now this will open this file dialog box. From here, select the drawing which you are generally not able to open, and you can select any of these drawings. Let's say that we want to recover this 17.3 drawing. So I'll select it. I'll click on open. And now here the drawing has been recovered, and you'll also see the number of errors here. So in this case, 2 errors were found and both of them were fixed. So simply click on close, and the drawing will open in a new window after fixing the errors. So these were different methods of cleaning your drawing or fixing the errors in the drawing. But what if the error is related to the software itself? In those cases, you can try different options depending upon the error which you find. For example, if you have some missing toolbar icons, you can go to this view tab and turn on that respective file icon. For example, here we have the file tab. Let's say that file tabs are missing, just like this. You can simply click on file tab here, or if layout tabs are missing, you can bring them back, you can toggle their visibility and lots of other things. But if you are not able to figure out the problem, or if you are not able to find out the exact reason, then you can try a reset. But resetting the AutoCAD will remove any custom settings that you have applied. So obviously you can make a backup of custom settings and you can reset, or you can simply reset your software and make those settings once again. So in order to make a reset, you need to first close all of the open windows. So I'll close this AutoCAD window. Okay, now I'll go to this start button, and right now we have this Windows 10 here. So here in this list of all the programs, I'll select AutoCAD and then go to this reset settings to default. So if you're using Windows 7, you'll see a little bit different interface, but in that case also you can go to start, all programs, Autodesk AutoCAD 2018, and then reset settings to default. So once you select this option, you'll see this option where you can backup your custom settings. So if you want to make a backup, you can create that backup as a zip file, and if you don't want that, you can simply click on reset custom settings. So we don't want to make any backup as we don't have any custom setting. So I'll click on reset and click on OK. So now you'll see this preparing to install, and it will take a couple of minutes, and after that AutoCAD will start as if it's starting for the first time, and most of the errors will hopefully be gone when this software restarts. So here we have it, a completely new session of AutoCAD, as if it's a completely new installation, and in this way you can resolve many errors related to your software. So now I'll simply close it. So that was all about troubleshooting drawing related and AutoCAD software related errors. Purge tool is used for cleaning drawings, and this tool has also been improved in AutoCAD 2020 version. So now Purge tool looks like this. Let's type Purge, and I'm going to press enter now, and this is how the new Purge tool looks like in 2020 version. Now, as soon as you open the Purge tool, you'll notice these two big buttons. On the left, we have purgeable items, and on the right, we have find non-purgeable items. So as the name suggests, this is like a toggle, and if you click this one, it will show you all the items that you can purge in this list. If you select this one, it will show you all the items that you cannot purge. Now, this thing is also interesting because it will also tell you the reason why those items cannot be purged. So here I'll select find non-purgeable items, and now I'll go to this list here, and these are the objects which you cannot purge. So we have some extra blocks that you cannot purge, so I'm going to just expand it, and look at this list is pretty big. Now if you select any of these blocks, it will show the reason why these blocks cannot be purged. So here we have two reasons. It is used by dimension style standard, and it is used by dimension style override dim BLK. So this is the reason why we cannot purge this one. Similarly, if I select the bed block, look at this, it also cannot be purged because it's used in our drawing. So similarly, you can go to layers or any other object, select the one, and it will show you the reason why you cannot purge it. So def point layer, well, you cannot purge it, so that's why you just cannot. All right, now I'll go to purgeable items, and again it will show you the list of items that you can purge, and here also you need to expand it, and it will show you the list like this. So here sink double 36-inch top can be purged because it's not used in our drawing. So all the objects which are not used in our drawing can be purged. You can just expand it and you can purge them. So here also a new check mark feature has been added. So now you can selectively check the objects that you want to purge. So in this case, let's say that we want to purge this particular sink, and from the dimension styles, I want to purge only this annotative dimension style. Although we can purge this ISO 25, still I want to keep it. I don't want to purge this. All right, so now these two objects are selected, and I'm not going to select anything else. So annotative can be purged, but I'm not going to purge this annotative text style and also ISO 25. All right, now to purge these objects, the selected objects, we can now click on purge checked items and select this option, purge all checked items, and look at this, only the checked items are purged and the other items are still here. We still have our classical purge all option, and you can select this to purge all the purgeable items, but we now have an option of selecting objects that we want to purge. Also, we have these options, the purge nested items option, purge zero length geometry. Right now it's not active because we don't have any zero length geometries or empty text objects, but if you have these, it will highlight and you can check these box to purge those kind of objects. You can also purge orphan data. We have it, so it's highlighted, and you can just select these options to purge all the unnecessary objects and clean your drawing. So this one is a great tool for cleaning your drawing, and you can purge everything that you don't need in your drawing or the objects which are not used in your drawing. And with this new purge tool, it has been greatly improved. So with these selections, I'm going to click on purge all to purge every single extra object, and there we go. So every purgeable item is now purged. So I'm going to close it, and that's the new and improved purge tool in AutoCAD 2020. Another great feature which has been added in AutoCAD 2019 is the Save to Web and Mobile tool. So now you can save your drawing files online and you can access them from whatever device you are using. You can access it from mobile devices, from the Autodesk mobile, using tablets, phones, or even from browser. So let's say that we want to save one of our drawings on the cloud so that we can access it from any device. Now for that, I'll open the blank drawing and I'll make a simple drawing. Maybe I'll create a text here, and let's add sample text, and let's click here, let's zoom in, and let's create a box here right around this text. All right, now we want to save this drawing online so that we can access it from any device. For that, you need to make an offline copy first. So click on save and go to desktop or wherever you want to save that. All right, now we have that file here on the local drive. I'll now click on this save to web and mobile. Now this will upload the same file which we saved on the local drive on this cloud account. So let's give it a name. So I'll name it as sample text. Click on save, and now it will synchronize the file with your cloud account. Now if you want to access that file, then you can go to web.autocad.com and access that file right from there. Right now only a few browsers are compatible with this web application of AutoCAD. So one of the browser is Google Chrome. So use the compatible browsers as far as possible. So I'll just open Google Chrome and I'll type web.autocad.com and press enter. And look at this. Now we are in this AutoCAD cloud account, and here we have all the files which we saved, including the sample text which we just saved. If you want to create a new folder here, you can click on new folder and you can create it and then access the files from there. And here we have some sample files which are ready-made files in this cloud account. Now if you want to open any of these drawings, then you don't need to download them and then open it in your AutoCAD, offline AutoCAD. You can access it right from the browser, and to do that, simply click on the drawing. So I have this sample office plan. I'll click on this, and this will prepare the file for your online view. And here we have it. So now the drawing is loaded right within your browser, and you can see that we have this AutoCAD window. All the text will be shown with the simplex.shx font. That's the only change which you'll see here. Apart from that, we have the views, we have the properties. So now you can select any object and its property will show up here. We have all the properties. You can even change these properties if you want. We have access to layers as well as the drawing tools. Maybe if you want to create a rectangle or whatever kind of drawing, you can simply now make your drawings, and you can not only make your drawings, but you can also save them. So I've made this drawing. Now I'll click on save, and the drawing is now saved. So if you want to access this drawing now from your offline AutoCAD or from your PC, then just close the browser. You don't need to open that drawing and download it and open it. We have a tool for that as well, and that's this second tool right here, right next to open from web and mobile. So now click on open from web and mobile, and that will open this folder. And now we have that sample office plan right here. So all the drawings will show up right here. If you have additional folders, it will show it like this. You can just go to that folder simply by double clicking, and then you can navigate back using this navigation bar here. Now I'll select the sample office plan and I'll open it. Now it will download the file offline and it will prepare the drawing here for this offline viewing. And there we have it. So I made the change online, and look at this, the change is now reflected right here in this offline copy as well. And now if you want to keep that copy, you can just simply click on save to save it offline. And if you want to once again synchronize the changes after making some changes here, you can once again click on save and save to web and mobile, and that will be saved once again online. Now this will not only allow you to access your file from your PC, but you can also access it from tablet, from mobile phones, or from other remote devices if you have any. And you should have subscription to AutoCAD if you want to use this tool. And it's a great feature for viewing the drawings and editing them on the go. If you are a busy person who likes to work even after the office hours, this is a great enhancement for you. Okay, so here is our question related to this module. You need to open 17.5 drawing, which is available with the sample file downloads, and in that drawing you will find lots of different circles which are placed in different layers and they have different radii. Now you need to make a selection set using the quick select tool in such a way that the selection set includes all of the circles of radius greater than 0.8 units. So here we have the drawing, and it has got lots of these circles which are placed on different layer, and the radii of these circles are completely different. Now to start making the selection set, I'll go to this utilities panel and select this quick selection tool. So that will start this quick select window. Here we need to select entire drawing because we want to make selection from this complete drawing. Also here the object type is selected as a circle because circle is the only object type available in it. So I'll select circle, and now we need to select radius. So from this property list, select radius. Now we need to ensure that the radius should be greater than 0.8. So I'll select greater than operator, and in the value type 0.8, and simply click on OK. And there we have it. All of the circles with radius higher than 0.8 value are now selected. And that includes almost all of these circles. Apart from these small and tiny circles, everything has been included in the selection set as per our question.